Edward and the Brass Band. It was summer on the island of Sodor, and Thomas was happily puffing to the beach. He was excited to be bringing passengers to the seaside. He was even more excited because the Fat Controller was holding his annual concert at the castle the following evening. Every year, it was Edward's job to take the brass band to the castle for the concert. He was happily humming to himself as he chuffed along the track. Pom, 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 Edward sang. This was a very important job, and Edward loved being a really useful engine. Edward passed Thomas as he pulled into Wellsford Station. "Why are you so jolly today?" asked Thomas. "I'm on my way to pick up the brass band," Edward puffed as he sped past Thomas. Edward could not wait to hear the brass band play their wonderful music. He chuffed happily on his way from Wellsford to Brendam Docks. As Edward pulled into the docks, he didn't notice that giant crane was unloading a ship's cargo. It was unloading a huge ship's boiler. The crane swung around and accidentally knocked a horrified Edward right off the track. "Flatten my funnel!" Edward cried. One of his wheels had been broken and a coupling rod was bent. The Fat Controller arrived to see a very sad-looking Edward lying by the side of the tracks. "We will take you to the fitter's yard straight away," he said. "Bertie will have to take the brass band to the hotel." The fitters worked hard through the night to fix Edward as a raging storm rolled in from the sea. Edward felt even worse as cold rain pelted down and wind whipped around his boiler. The next morning, the storm had passed, and the sun was shining brightly again. The Fat Controller came to see Edward, but he still wasn't fixed. "Please, sir," pleaded Edward, "the fitters will be finished soon." "I'm sorry, Edward, the brass band can't wait," said the Fat Controller. "Bertie will have to take them to the castle concert instead." "Yes, sir," Edward replied sadly. He wished he could take the brass band. Bertie set off with the brass band. He was bumping cheerfully along the country roads when he rounded a corner and spotted trouble ahead. The storm has flooded the road. Bertie's driver decided to take a shortcut, but it was very muddy. Bertie's wheels did not like the mud. They scooted and skated. They slipped, they slid, and then they sank. "Oh no, I'm stuck!" Bertie cried. The brass band got out and stood at the side of the track, their instruments still in their cases. They were worried they would be late for the concert. "Tune up your tubas," the trumpet player cried. "We'll call for help." Meanwhile, back at the yard, Edward had been fixed and clean. Finally, he was hooked up to his coaches again. Edward looked much happier, but suddenly he heard a strange noise. "That sounds like the brass band's music," said his driver. "That's not music," whistled Edward. "That's a brass band's alarm." And with that, Edward chuffed out of the fitter's yard and raced to the rescue. The brass band were delighted to see their old friend Edward when he pulled up beside them. "I'll get you to the concert on time," Edward cried. Bertie was very relieved. Edward had saved the day. The musicians all climbed aboard, and Edward puffed quickly away towards the castle. They were soon chuffing into the castle station. The band said goodbye and thanked Edward for saving the concert. That night, the concert was a great success. The brass band's music could be heard all over the island. Everyone had a wonderful time, especially Edward.